Hey guys, Jason with Hogs Barbecue. So we were going to do a work through tonight on our trimming our brisket, talking about brisket. We've had a lot of customers coming into our store wanting to talk about brisket, what we do on brisket, how we trim it, what we season it with. I'll just show you. I mean, it's pretty simple. I will tell you that our competition brisket is way different. May do a video later on that, maybe get some snake rivers and kind of do one. But I just want to do we had some catering going on this week, and I actually thought about, hey, well, I'll just shoot a video about trimming a brisket, what we do every day, and talk about a brisket, what all involves, and I'm going to get started. So first off, use 1855 Swift. It's an upper choice brisket. It's amazing. I feel like it's one of the better briskets out on the market. Less trim. That means a lot for a restaurant because that's less you have to cut off of, less waste. We've started the process of saving our trimmings, using it for other things like burgers, sausages, and stuff like that. But I really like the 1855s. They look super, super good. Actually, I'm fixing to cut into one so you'll see it. But also, Royal Oak Charcoal. Thank you guys. We're sponsored by Royal Oak Charcoal on our competition team. And thanks to those guys. They're awesome. American-made product. And we use them a lot and appreciate their support. So let's get started. I'm going to tell you about the brisket, all the things. So let me grab one real quick. So this is about a 14-pound brisket. We like using the large ones because we use a lot of brisket, and we like to get it situated. And what you have to do is when you figure on cooking a brisket, you got to think about cook down also. So what we do on a brisket is we figure half cook down. So on a 14-pound brisket, you're only going to get half of what you cook, especially after you trim it. And always keep that in mind. So I'm going to start from the very beginning. Get the nitrile gloves and get them on. I usually use two different knives. David actually uses a different knife, but I use the Victorinox. I love the Victorinox boning knives. I love the handle on them. They're amazing. I don't have their slicing knife right now. Sorry, Matt, but I use a rigid slicing knife. That way I can level it off. So we'll get started. One thing when you go to the store and you pick up a brisket, kind of look at the marbling. So more marbling that's running in the grain. I don't know if you can see it right there, but better the brisket. You know, fat equals flavor, and more marbling, better brisket. Also, we'll talk about this hard fat. You know, a brisket is actually two things, but let me go ahead and get this open. Let's talk about it. Let me get it kind of cleaned up, and we'll get started. So, very first thing is get that thing opened up. If we were doing a competition brisket, I'd be super careful on trimming it or cutting into the brisket while opening the crawl back, but this is not so much. We're gonna start on the fat side. Everybody has their opinion. A lot of the keyboard cooks, as we call them, have different opinions on fat side up, fat side down. We do ours fat side down. That's where the majority of heat is, and you want to keep your brisket protected from the flame or whatever heat source that you're using. So that's what we do. We get this bad boy out of here. I've got a trash can right here beside of me also, so I'll get that off there. This is a big boy. I like these bigger brisket too. All right, we'll get talking. Let me get it cleaned up real quick. Just use some paper towels, kind of get all the blood off of it and everything that you can grab. Also, in the cryovac, sometimes the briskets are so big, the corners will be turned down kind of like that. I'll also get it out because I'll talk about that in just a second. All right, get cleaned up here. First off, two parts of a brisket. Let me turn it around so you kind of get an idea. This is not one piece of meat. It's actually two. This is the point, and this is the flat. There's actually a seam. I don't know if you can tell. When I start trimming, I'll kind of show you. But there's two pieces to this piece of meat. This is the point. This is where you would get your burn ends from. The flat, that's where you get the leaner stuff. So point is brisket burn ends and a fattier type texture. And then this will be the leaner part. This is what we call a flat. So I always start like this. I start on the fat side. I want to work it down. So this is the decal. This is the raised portion of the brisket. You can save it for trimmings or whatever. For our purposes, we're going to go ahead and get it trimmed off. You're thinking, man, you're wasting a bunch of meat. But if you have a way to repurpose it, then guess what? You can repurpose it and make burgers out of it, sausages, any combination, especially if you got a way to grind it and encase it also. And then what I do is I start working on this hard fat. So if you look at it, it's pretty hard. It's never going to render. I'm going to go ahead and for our purposes, I'm going to show you kind of how to do burn ends also. You can tell that's pretty hard. So I want to get that off of there. You'll see when we get down here, very marbled on the point. It's what makes those brisket burn ends look so good. And what I'm doing, the reason why I like this knife, these rigid small slicers, is I literally can just level that brisket off. I'm going to do this one to show you kind of how to do burn ends. Typically I would leave this fat, leave anywhere from 1/4 inch of fat to 1/8 inch of fat to protect it. But I'm going to start right here, and literally I'm going to take all this fat off this way. And the reason why is because you want to get seasoning on every part of that brisket. So think about it. You need burn ends, and I want every piece of that meat to have seasoning on and to get dark. I'm gonna make me a pile over here. There we go. You can tell the marbling in that gonna be exceptional taste and flavor because fat equals flavor. So. All right. Now, if you were doing burn ends with this one, you would coat all of this with, I guess I could go ahead and get that. All right, at this point, I think that's good enough, especially for home cooks and stuff like that, backyard cooks. But what I do at this point is I start rounding this up. Also, the edges will have oxidation from the cryovacuum, so I like to get all that oxidation off there. So. Also, another thing too, something to consider. This brisket has a end that is very narrow. Let me kind of explain what I'm talking about. See how thin that is? We were doing a competition brisket. I would literally cut almost all of that off there because this right here is not going to do nothing but burn. So. But I'm going to go ahead and round it up. All right, you can work all you want to getting this off of here. This is still hard fat. I'm going to leave it for the time being because I'm going to flip it around. Also, I'm going to let you look at this side. So want to trim this up right here. And we're looking for anywhere from a 1/4 inch to an 1/8 inch of fat as protection. All right, got that oxidation off there. That's what this is for, to level this off. So you're thinking, I don't know how level that's gonna be, because if you look, there's a big gap right here and all this stuff. So, what you do is get your hand underneath it like that, and then you can start leveling it off. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and round this edge too. Like I said, this is just gonna be one of ours that we use on our catering and stuff like that. We'll do a competition cut probably later on. All right. All right, now we're gonna flip over to the other side. Immediately get this off there. This is hard fat. It's never going to render. And like I said, you can dig all you want to. You can spend hours getting every piece of this off here. But basically, I'm just trying to level it up and make it aerodynamic. This is the fat seam. I'm going to kind of show you guys real quick. But you can see this fat seam running right here. So when this brisket's done, and we'll talk about that, the wrap and all that stuff later, you literally can take a gloved hand and separate that. So right now I'm just looking for any oxidation over on the side. And if you look right here, I may have Luby, I don't know if she can zoom in, but this end right here, this is what I'm talking about, that oxidation. See, it's from just setting in the package. So I get all that off there also. All right, almost one of the last steps. We've got our brisket rounded up. It's the reason why I like to use a slicing knife, especially a rigid one on the back end, because literally you can get down. And I like to get all the silver skin, as you can see, the silver skin on here and the fat stuff. So of course you're going to have little hangers. That's what the boning knife's for. What I do is I take a hand and get it raised up. Sometimes even pull tension against it. I mean, you don't have to take the silver skin off. You're gonna coat it with rub. If we were doing a competition brisket, we would definitely get every bit of it off and start trimming the sides. Matter of fact, take some shears and cut that side down. Anyway, I'm gonna stop right there. People ask us what we use on our brisket. We use our own SPG. I'll let Liv bring me back up here. But we use our own SPG, and I'll let her zoom in on this. This is the 3 rubs that we use every day for our brisket stuff. So it's our SPG, JD Cube, with kind of a pecan hit to it, and then of course our friend Bill Purvis from Texas, around the Houston area. He has an amazing Texas heavy 16 mesh type brisket rub, and we love how the texture lies on it. So, all right, I'm gonna stop right there. That's just the way that we cut off our briskets for our normal everyday catering use. We like to get them cleaned up and get them ready for our seasoning and stuff like that. Later on, we'll shoot another video on what we do after we get it smoked. Matter of fact, I may do it tomorrow after that and do a wrap and then how to finish it. But this is just our basic way to cut it. Just whenever you buy a brisket from the store, just remember there's a lot to do on it and a lot of prep work to do on it also. So thank you guys for watching. We're gonna start doing some of these videos from time to time. And thank you to Livy for being our videographer tonight. So hope everyone has a great weekend, and catch you guys later.